Hello and welcome back to the Big O podcast. I am so excited to have you back here with me this week because we are doing a deep dive into turning trauma into power. So, those of you that have seen my online group program, I talk a lot about, first of all, pleasure and our pleasure code, because that is our path to reclaiming our body, reclaiming our voice, and most importantly, claiming our power. Now, last week, I talked to you a lot about choosing yourself and what a difficult experience that can actually be. And that is often because of our traumas and the way that we have been affected by what's happened in the past. So, today we are looking at that and actually how the things that we've experienced, the things that we struggle with the most, we get to transform that into power. Now, I understand this so well because my business is built on this. Now, I've been in business for a long time. I've been in business for over a decade, and I started my business on the side while I was still in my teaching career. And it was after I had my daughter, and having her was the biggest inspiration I've ever had. So I picked up a camera for the first time in a really long time and suddenly remembered my passion and started a photography business. So I did that alongside my teaching career. And it was wonderful. And what I did was I relearned what I loved and what I'd forgotten about. And that led to everything else that I've done since, because that led to my creation of art. That led to me being able to leave my 15-year career, which I have to say was also massively triggered by the mental breakdown I had. And of course, if you listen to my podcast and you follow me, you know all about that. If you don't, I talk about it in the previous one in season one. Um, so I don't want to go too much into that, but what my life experiences have gifted me is the ability now to build a business and create something that I absolutely love and thrive within. And a big part of my own healing was understanding that I would not be here and I could not be doing the work that I'm doing with the women that I'm working with without having experienced that. So, what I've basically done is taken my trauma, taken the pain that I have had in my life. And if you think about it, and if you know me and know my story, you know that that includes leaving a 15-year career and the grief involved with that. That includes leaving an emotionally abusive relationship that really created huge amount of fear within my body, mind, soul, which has taken a huge recovery period, which I'm still going through right now. And then it also meant leaving my home, which was incredibly painful and incredibly scary. So I've pretty much experienced most things. And in actually a very short space of time, I got to a point where the toxicity that was in my life, it all came to a head all at once. And it created a huge amount of trauma within me. But it also meant that it gave me the gift of being able to choose myself too. And, like I said, we talk about this more in my other podcast, Choosing Yourself. So I want you to understand that that trauma can be incredibly powerful and it can be a huge activator on your own journey. And the way that you get to transform that is through finding your pleasure. So you need to strip right back to yourself and come back to core and come back to your essence and come back to you and your true self. Because what happens is if we have a trauma response, we can become someone else, basically. We can not be true to ourselves. We can people please. We can adhere to what others want. We can bow down. We can make ourselves small. There's so much in this. And depending on your life experience will depend on how you have reacted. And the first thing I want to say about that is that's okay, because at that point, in that moment in your life, that was your way of keeping yourself safe. So I want you to not look at that with this anger, I suppose, this frustration. And what I spent a long time doing was being really cross at myself and saying things like, I can't believe I did that. I'm such an idiot. And really, really hard on myself for a really long time, and almost blaming myself, because saying to myself, well, I could have left. I chose to stay. I chose this. And there is an element of self-responsibility, but you've got to watch that very carefully and make sure that what you're not doing is attacking yourself, okay? Because that can be incredibly harmful. I want you to actually look at it with love and kindness, because what happens is when we experience trauma, the response that we have is usually fight, flight, or freeze. And whatever we do in that moment and however we choose to deal with it after is our way of protecting ourselves. So, what I want you to understand and what I really want you to do is to look at the past with love, with real love, for the way that you protected yourself in that moment. Okay. And I know that that can be a difficult place to get to. So you can start by doing different exercises like journaling. So I do morning pages where I just let whatever needs to come out and allow yourself to go wherever you need to go. Allow whatever you're feeling at the time. I really want you to feel it, because that is another huge part of healing. You need to feel it in your body. You need to feel it. And I remember sobbing several times, actually. But sobbing, like that deep throat sobbing, that aching in your chest sobbing, and saying to a friend, I can feel it, feel the pain. It feels like so much pain. And you've got to remember that your emotions are important. So if you're feeling pain, let yourself feel it. Let yourself feel where it is in your body, because you will feel it in your body. Okay. And let it out. So if that means you're sobbing, if that means you're screaming, and that primal scream, by the way, can be incredibly helpful. That might mean bouncing up and down to really loud music. So when I am feeling an emotion, I want to listen to music incredibly loud, because I want to feel the vibrations of the music within my body. That helps me to process it. Okay. And it might mean playing an instrument with, real passion. Like a drum, for example. I have you might be able to see if you see the video clip of my recording, I've got my steel drum behind me. So perhaps it's that. You might want to jump up and down, you might want to go to the gym, do weights, you might want to run. Whatever it is your body is calling you to do, then do it. Go and damn well release it, because that is what's going to help you the most. Feel it. Really fucking feel it in your body, and then go and do whatever physical activity you need to do to go and release it. Release it, release it, release it. And through doing that, what you're actually doing is healing yourself. You're teaching your body and your mind that it's okay to feel these things, and you're actively working to release them. And that is so powerful and so healing. And then what you get to do once you start allowing that release, allowing the feeling, allowing the releasing, you get to then look at the way that you coped with whatever situation you was in, and look at it with love and gratitude for yourself, not for the situation. And can I add, you do not have to forgive. Okay, there's a big thing about forgiveness. What I actually want you to do is forgive yourself, in the sense of understanding that whatever happened and whatever action you took was you keeping yourself safe. So thank and love your mind, your body, and your soul for doing that. And then when you start going through this process, the best thing to do at that point is start thinking, okay, well, where has this led me? Because everything, everything that's happened to you has led you to this point now. Everything that happened to me, I can look at with such immense gratitude now, because without it, I would not have done my ICF accredited trauma informed somatic certification. That is incredibly powerful. It was powerful for me, and it now means that I know how to support women going through the same kind of traumas. It also means that I'm going to be doing my hypnotherapy training, okay, and my brain spotting training, and I'm doing all of that this year to continue to support the women that I'm working with within my group program. It also means that I wouldn't have even started or developed my group program, because if I hadn't have experienced those things myself, then how on earth would I ever be able to support the women that I'm supporting who are going through these big life transitions, who feel lost, who have lost touch with themselves, lost touch with their pleasure, and have no idea what their pleasure code is, and therefore find it incredibly difficult to take any kind of step towards a life they actually want. If I hadn't have experienced this, if I hadn't have gone through this and taken these steps myself, walked this path myself, and I mean in every aspect of it, leaving the career, the relationship, the home environment, if I hadn't have done that, if I didn't genuinely, wholeheartedly know what that really and truly feels like within my mind, my body, my soul, I would not be able to relate to the women that I'm supporting. And therefore, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I'm doing right now. And I know how incredibly important this work is. So, what I want you to ask yourself when you get to the point where you are able to feel, you are able to release, I want you to start looking at the pain that you have felt, the trauma that you have felt, and start flipping it. Start turning it. How can you turn your fears that you had previously? Because you've got to remember, whatever you've gone through, whatever you've lived through, you've survived it. You have survived 100% of your days on this earth. You are here right now. You did it. You are so much more powerful than you believe you are. So take a moment to feel that, to understand that, and then think to yourself about where you are right now and all the potential that you have in front of you. And that will start with nurturing yourself. And I mean radical fucking self love here. I'm not talking about bubble baths and all that shit. I am talking about really choosing yourself. Okay, putting yourself first, because until you put yourself first, you cannot care and support for others. Okay, and essentially, we all crave that. We crave relationships, we crave love, we crave those type of things, and until we actually give that to ourselves, it's incredibly difficult to fully accept it. Now, the love from others 100% can heal you too, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you cannot be in relationships and things like that without loving yourself, because that's not true. Relationships can be incredibly healing, but what I want you to understand is how immensely amazing, beautiful, powerful you are, and start seeing that and start taking the trauma, taking the pain, taking the fears, and flipping it into your power, your purpose, your mission. How do you get to turn your life experiences into something beautiful? Because that beauty, whatever it is, I know so many women that I've worked with who have perhaps taken, there's a beautiful photographer that I follow, and she had the death of her daughter, something that I cannot even imagine that pain. That is something, one of my biggest fears. And she creates the most outstanding, beautiful portraits of children that are pure art. there are women that I know that have taken their pain and have used that to create artistic programs, for example, um, that have put that into writing, into books, that have taken their experiences, perhaps some of the things that they experienced when they were younger, and now work with children and support them. So there is so much potential for you, and I really want you to understand that you have a purpose. If you are feeling lost and stuck, you simply need to get back to the point where you can uncover that. You need to take those pains and think about what that has taught you, the gifts that it has given you, and know that if you need support, well, for one, there are so many people in this world that are here to support you. And two, you know where I am. This is what I do. Turning turning your thoughts back to yourself, your pleasure, your joy, finding your pleasure code and using it to create a life that turns you on. So if you are interested in working with me on that, you know where to find me. I'm at Joyous Misfit. Come and talk to me. It's joyousmisfit.com as well. All the information about what I do is on there. And if something like my group program, Evolution, will interest you, then come and speak to me. Okay. But if it's not me, I may not be the right person for you. Go back to my podcast episode about the containers and holding the vision, and create those self-support containers. Okay, create the things that you consume. Really think about that and how that lifts you, the people that you're around, the communities that you put yourself in. There is so much you can do, and I cannot wait to see what you do with it and how you start aligning with your pleasure and your purpose. I look forward to seeing you and speaking with you next week. And if you have anything you would like to talk to me about, come find me. Take care.